Hi, I'm Emily.
My name is Yukji.
Hi, my name is Marisol, and this is our Ecological Interactions video project.
Our project will be focusing on behaviors seen between the ring-billed gull on the left and the long-billed curlew seen on the right, which I observed at the Oceano Dunes, SVRA, in Pismo Beach over Thanksgiving break. In our first video, it shows the birds just walking around on the shoreline. There's a group of the gulls and an equally sized number of curlews, which are the brown ones with the long beaks. And so if you pay attention to like the left side of the screen, it looks like all the gulls are starting to walk towards the left. And that curlew that just showed up is looking for something in the sand, looking for food. And as it's pausing, it seems to maybe find something. And then all of the gulls, or most of them, go over and fly towards it to scare it off. And it appears that neither the curlew nor the seagulls got whatever it was digging for, and so neither groups benefited from any food source. And here we have a second video. And there's another group of birds. And if you pay attention to the curlews in the back that are closer to the shoreline, they appear to be kind of more furiously digging around looking for things. The gulls are on standby, and it looks like one of them got something, and the gulls swoop in at it. And if you pay attention to the left gull, or it's on the right side of the screen now, it's holding something in its beak. So it seems that it successfully took whatever food the curlew had dug up from the sand. And the other birds try to go around it, but the seagull just protects whatever it gathered.
These are some shorebird behaviors. In the winter, long-billed curlews are found on the Pacific coast, oftentimes near the coast of California or around Mexico. They are not present outside of winter because they live on inland grasslands for breeding. Some of the feeding behaviors the curlews use include burrow probe, pods probe, and the peck methods. For the burrow probe method, it's used primarily in emerged areas, so the curlews probe into burrows until they sense a prey, and then they probe rapidly into a burrow until the prey is seized. Then there is the pause probe method, which is only used in submerged areas. And this is where the curlews stand in a few centimeters of water with their bills partly under the water and slightly open. They remain motionless in this position for a couple of seconds until they detect some movement. Then they will slowly go down until with a sudden lurch, and the prey will be captured. There's also the peck method, which is used much less often, but they just tend to peck around until they obtain the prey on the substrate surface. And the method that tends to be more effective out of the three is the pause probe method. The curlew's diet in the winter typically consists of crustaceans, which include small crabs, mollusks, or marine worms. The key point of these is that ring-billed gulls are not able to feed using the same methods as long-billed curlews because of their different beak shapes.
So our null hypothesis is that the gulls attack the long-billed curlews, but probably out of aggression alone. So they're not actually trying to obtain the food that the curlews digged out of the sand. Our alternative hypothesis, on the other hand, states that the gulls are attacking the curlews in order to steal food. So they are saving energy by just waiting and watching until the curlews get some food, and then swooping in to obtain the food. And they save energy in this way, in that they don't have to look for the food or burrow for it. Also, the beak shape does not allow for this. This is our experimental design, the diagrams that you see In control 1, we put 10 gulls, which you see as white circles. In control plot 2, we put 10 curlews, and we will observe how much weight the curlews gain over a specific number of days. In the experimental plot, we put 10 birds of each species, and we're going to measure the same thing, the percent change in average bird weight in each plot. Here are some predictions. So if the alternative hypothesis is true, let's say that in the control plots, the first 2 plots that you saw on the right side of last slide, let's say the gulls weighed X amount and the curlews weighed Y amount at the beginning, then we expect that towards the end of the experiment, in the experimental plots, the gulls are going to gain some weight while the curlews lose some weight. And this is because we start with adult birds for each species, so we don't expect them to lose or gain weight because of growth. So the net gain in weight or the net loss in weight should be due to external factors, such as a different species trying to snatch your food. Our null hypothesis, however, states that if the gulls start with weight X and curlews weigh Y amount, then in the experimental plot at the end of the experiment, the gulls are still going to weigh about the same amount, and the same for curlews. Independent variables in this case would be species being separated or being together in the same plot. And again, we must mention that an important assumption for this is that the gulls can only access the food under the sand when the curlews are present. So only if the curlews get the food can the gulls snatch the food from the curlews. Otherwise, they cannot access that food that's under the sand. Our dependent variables that we will be measuring would be the average weight of curlews and the average weight of gulls. We will be comparing to see if the gulls gain some weight while the curlews lose some weight. We will lean towards the alternative hypothesis being true. But if there is no significant change in weight, then we would say that the null hypothesis is true. Our control variables would be winter season, because that's the only time when curlews migrate to California beaches, and both of these species are present at the same time. We are using the same area of 8,000 cubic meters for each plot enclosed by nets, and we're talking in terms of cubic meters because we need to enclose the plots from the top as well. By using the same volume for the plots, we ensure that approximately same amount of food is present in each plot, and we also say that the bird species are about the same size, because we don't want larger gulls, which might be better at attacking, or smaller curlews, which might be faster and thus better at escaping. And as I mentioned earlier, all birds are adults, so they're not gaining weight based on just growth as a young bird would, but they're only gaining or losing weight based on external factors, such as other birds attacking and snatching your food.
These are our potential outcomes. As you can see on the left, we have 3 plots, and this is a potential outcome if the alternative hypothesis is accepted. And this would indicate that ring-billed gulls attack long-billed curlews only to steal food. And as you can see here, you can see that the gulls in white have increased in weight, and the brown dots, which are referenced as curlews, have been losing weight because the gulls are taking away from their diet. On the right-hand side, you can see 3 plots where the potential outcome is if the null hypothesis is accepted. And this would indicate that the ring-billed gulls attack the long-billed curlews out of aggression alone. And this is why we can see that the brown dots, known as the curlews, are about the same weight as in the control group. And the biological meaning of all of this is, if it is true that the gulls steal food from the curlews, then they would be able to spend less time and energy looking for food themselves in the winters when curlews are present. Interspecific competition may be present, and it could also be explored in the future. And these are our references. Thank you.